My name is Joel Lohr. I am president here. I have the honor of serving this wonderful institution, and I have the honor of being here with MT. How many of you, when we were watching the slideshow, I kept saying to MT, this is a life well lived. She often says, actually, this beautiful blessing I learned from Frankie, Sister Frankie. She was telling me that in Ghana, she spent 13 years there, yeah. And she said that when they were in Ghana, often there's a way of congratulating people. And the way of congratulating people is not necessarily to congratulate them on achievements, but you say congratulations for trying. Beautiful, isn't it? And I bring that in the context of me because I'm never going to live this life, so you can just congratulate me on trying. So I was asked to say a few words. I'm not going to say a lot, but I will say a few words about Miriam Therese Winter Chair in Transformative Leadership and Spirituality. We are here to honor the chair that is in MT's honor, but we're also here to inaugurate the new and just hired, amazing, outstanding, phenomenal, full of the Spirit, Lisa Dahill, Dr. Dahill. Recently at a faculty meeting, she presented some of the things she was hoping to accomplish in her first year. And when we got through the list, which took a few, probably like 18 slides, we thought if she can get this all done in her lifetime, we will be celebrating. This is amazing. She has a lot of energy. Welcome to our community. It is an honor and blessing to have you with us. I really am honored. So let's give her one more round of applause. I'm learning to cope with glasses, and I need to get some really badly. My wife said to me, you gotta stop using those little cheaters. Eventually you're gonna have to get a real pair. So forgive me for these really, I think they're $5.99 on Amazon. They're now 2.0, so you know you're getting bad when you get to that stage. So I'm gonna read a little bit about this chair. Some of you know this. I actually learned more today as I did some research. So the Miriam Therese Winter, the chair for Transformative Leadership and Spirituality started as an idea long ago, was announced in 2015, and then, according to our website, which is, I think, gospel, it said that at a later point, Miriam Therese Winter's name became associated with it, and I wrote down the date. That was on September 30th, 2016. There was an event at which Uriah Kim announced that Miriam Therese Winter's name would be attached to the Transformative Leadership and Spirituality chair, and it became one. Miriam, MT, you're looking a little skeptical of all this, but is that roughly correct? Roughly. Well, let's just say that around 2015, 2016, the chair was envisioned. And over the years that followed, there were numerous gifts. In fact, I think I met people today whose name tags, I have not seen their faces, but I signed the thank you notes for gifts. And I thought, I know you, Annalie. I know your name because you are giving to this chair and to the work that we do here in the work of the Spirit. So I want to say, first of all, to you who have given to this chair, we could not be here tonight. We would not have this chair. We would not have Professor Dahill here if it wasn't for your gifts. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. I need to read this because it is so beautiful. On the trifold that was made about the chair, it says this about transformative leadership and spirituality. Transformative leadership and spirituality is an approach that works from the inside out. It is rooted in faith traditions and spiritual practices that create opportunities for experiences such as awe, forgiveness, compassion, courage, vulnerability, and joy. Awe, I just have to read this again. Opportunities for awe. need to be people that live in awe of each other, this beautiful creation, of the species, of all that we have. Forgiveness. Thank you for keeping forgiveness in there. Our world needs forgiveness, compassion, courage, vulnerability. Wouldn't this world be a better place if we could have more vulnerability with each other? And joy. These heart-opening moments can lead to shifts in awareness and perspectives that have healed relationships, rejuvenated careers, revealed a calling, and more. Students cultivate a concern for the wider world that often leads to outward action oriented towards systemic change. The change that emerges is applied spirituality. How poetic is that? MT, I have to believe your hand was on that. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I hope and pray that we can live into that vision. We are already. God is in this place, and God is in you. Thank you, MT, for those words. MT, as you know, yes. That's good for me. MT, as she is known, Miriam, Therese, all of you will know her as MT. She is a medical mission sister. We will hear more from them as well. They're around our table tonight. Thank you for being here. She joined the faculty of HIU, then Hartford Seminary, in 1980 to introduce spirituality into the curriculum of an institution known worldwide for being a pioneer. Over the years, MT created courses and programs rooted in applied spirituality, concentrating on ministry and daily life for both the ordained and the non-ordained. Her Women's Leadership Institute has been transformative for many hundreds of graduates who came seeking to enhance their leadership skills. An accomplished composer and worship leader, indeed truly renowned, world renowned. Do you see these pictures? There are not many churches in the world today, in my view, that have not been touched by MT's songwriting and her music. MT is a gift to the world. And I mean this, I wrote this part. She is proof that the Spirit is among us and moving. It's true because I said it. Can you not agree? Would you agree with that? The Spirit is moving with us as we are living. So I really, this is my job, so just put up with this for a moment. We never really fully funded the chair. We got really close. You can help me by finishing that and making me not just be congratulated for trying, but maybe even the success. We're so close. Remember us. As I sometimes say, remember us now or remember us when you enter the kingdom. We would love to finish funding this chair and allow it to continue in fullness and put on events like this. Lisa Dahill is living into this vision with amazing power of love and strength. She is transforming this place day by day, and it is beautiful to behold. Her prayers enrapture us to another place. She is like a gift from God that has been dropped on our laps. She's assumed this position with enthusiasm, excitement, wildness. When I left my house today, I said, this event is supposed to have like the title Wild in it. And my wife said, well, at least you wore a green tie. This does not look wild, does it? Come on, this is a suit. You're going to have to help me. Thank you, Lisa. Not only for bringing wildness, but also your incredible scholarly acumen. You are an incredible scholar. We are being transformed here through her presence with us on HIU's faculty, but we're also blessed by the spirit in which you do it. I love the way that you are embodying this role so well, and it's just beautiful to behold. If you haven't had a chance to meet Lisa or spend time with her or take a course, I met two people who have been doing WLI forever and ever, and they said you can just kind of keep taking the courses, and then they told me how cheap they were, and I thought, really? So come and take a more expensive course. I am so blessed that many of you traveled from a long way to be here. I'm going to be quiet now after I introduce the people who have really traveled. I don't know about the farthest, because I know some of you have flown from across the country. But we have a number of wonderful guests here from the Medical Mission Sisters. They drove through massive traffic apparently today from Philadelphia. They came all this way, and God forbid, are you driving home tonight after this? No, thank God. All right. I have the pleasure of introducing Sister Sue Sobczynski. Is that pretty close? Okay, Sobczynski. President and Unit Coordinator of the Medical Mission Sisters. She's here to greet us, to tell us a little bit more about her relationship with MT, and I'm delighted you're here. Would you come up and greet us, and can we give her a warm welcome and thank her for driving so far?
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Lore, distinguished faculty, alumni, students, and friends. Medical Mission Sisters are very happy to be present this evening for the launching of the Miriam Therese Winter Chair of Transformative Leadership and Spirituality. As Dr. Lore kindly introduced me, I am Sister Sue Sobczynski, Unit Coordinator of Medical Mission Sisters in North America. And in short, we just say, instead of Medical Mission Sisters, MMS. So altogether, MMS are about 500 sisters and associates of 23 nationalities, presently working in 17 countries on 5 continents. So with me is a small contingent of sisters, Sister Estelle Demers, Sister Eunice Orfevich, and Sister Frankie Vaughn. And over the years, we 4 have contributed to the MMS mission of being a healing presence in our wounded world by serving in the fields of administration, communications, direct medical care, education, and leadership. So we Medical Mission Sisters get around. We are thrilled to be here to congratulate Dr. Lisa Dahill, as she is honored as the holder of the MT Winter Chair in recognition of her exceptional talents and reputation. And it is wonderful to share the joy of our Sister Miriam Therese Winter, as she is acknowledged for numerous years of service and the unique ways she has been a healing presence, using her gifts and talents for mission and ministry here in Hartford. Now, as I was viewing the inspiring website of the university, I could not help but feel there are similarities between the Hartford International University for Religion and Peace and Medical Mission Sisters. And going through my mind were the words of a much-loved song written and composed by MT, called Let Your Light Shine. So the lyrics of the first verse of this song are, You, God, remembered us and called us by name. From many cultures, many nations we came. You bind us together with a common concern, guide our going and guard our return. Isn't that the wonderful reality of your university community, people drawn together by God? And the words to the song's refrain are, So let your light shine in us and in all that we do, and may all who see our deeds give glory and praise to you. The words of this refrain are the heartfelt wish and prayer of MMS for the members of the board, for the administration and support staff, for the faculty, alumni, and students, for everyone who is associated with the Hartford International University for Religion and Peace. We pray that the light of God would shine in you and in everything you do. And we pray that all who see your deeds will give God glory and praise. And now it is my privilege to introduce Sister Miriam Therese Winter, professor, author, composer, advocate for the poor, popular speaker, and for us, MMS, our dear sister and friend. Please give a warm welcome to MT. This is actually surreal. Standing in this place at this time and realizing who we are now. It exceeds all hopes and expectations. But isn't that the way of the divine spirit? This place, this institution, those who work within it, and I'll speak at the present time, everyone connected with this place, and let me dovetail that by saying all of my family of medical mission sisters in Philadelphia and throughout our sector, North America here, there's something holy, there's something sacred. There is a oneness you cannot explain. There is a spirit that links us all. And I felt that. I feel that. I felt that from the moment not from the moment I arrived. How I ever ended up accepting this when I entered the medical mission sisters at the age of 17 and not Miriam, because there wasn't a chance that I would end up teaching. Miriam teaches. Medical mission sisters, we go out and we walk the talk and we live the life and we go to places where others don't go. And I was called to that. Okay. And so there is supreme irony in my standing here and looking at all of you and actually celebrating with you a chair. And not only a chair, but that actually, God forgive me, on the other side when we all meet somewhere, somehow, in some way, with my name on it. And it wasn't the loo somewhere down on the railroad station. It is, but you know why I did it? Because sometimes you just gotta know when to hold and when to fold and when to play your card. And when I learned that chairs that are funded for a specific thing, fully funded, they cannot remove that from the curriculum. And we tried to raise, and through the years that I've been here, time and again, the question was, spirituality was the weak sister, it just wasn't understood. And when I first arrived, I looked up in the Oxford Unabridged Dictionary, which now, by the way, is in the cellar somewhere on some back shelf. Yeah, I know it upset me because it had the best definition ever for my understanding of what I was getting into. Do you want to know? I looked up the word spirituality. You want to know what the first definition was? The whole body of the clergy. You want to know what the plural was? Spiritualities. The monies raised for the support of the body of the clergy. I thought, what in the name of God have I gotten myself into? And I was going down and was trying to about the ethereal and not the practical. It was going in ways that made no sense, And spirituality, it was against the material, it was, And so I closed the book and I said, glory be to God. what are we going to do about this? So I said to myself, the word spirituality from the very beginning of my teaching, and those of you who have journeyed with me in any way at all know that the core word in the word spirituality for me is not spiritual. It's spirit. There are two words for me in the word spirituality. Spirit, ritual. Rituals of spirit. They overlap, okay? And so what we have here this evening is a profound experience of spirituality. It's rituals of spirit. You can feel spirit. You can feel spirit. And so how ironic to enter into a world of higher education where the primary lead comes from the head, and I come bumbling in with my heart totally wide open. Wow! But I said, you brought me here, and you better get me either out of it or get me through it. And I want to tell you, the Holy Spirit has a plan, And I found myself precisely where I belong. I belong as a medical mission sister in both of these entities because our founder, Anna Dahill, came in 1925. She established this community. She came to get money from America to support the cause of Muslim and Sikh women out in what was now then Pakistan, was then India, Rawalpindi Hospital. She was there as a surgeon. She was there, and there was no help to do nothing. And so she needed people to come and help these women who could not be seen by male doctors, okay? And what the point was, we needed female physicians, female nurses, female OR people. And so she came to America to get money. She wasn't from America. She's from Austria with her thick accent. And she walked up when they were marching down the New York streets, in 1925 with the women's thing. She was going for money for the women, and she was getting money for the women in Pakistan now, which is now Pakistan, was then northern India. She ended up not only with all of her energies and all, causing a change in canon law in 1936 so that Pope agreed that women who had vows as formal religious vows, poverty, chastity, and obedience, could practice the full scope of medicine, meaning they could see the body parts that needed to be seen that were being dealt with in surgical and all kinds of areas. So that kind of pioneering work for the women of India at that time and now all over Africa, I was drawn to that. So that when I ended up here, the parallelism was so profoundly, not two different movements, but we both have this sense of to be a healing presence. This is a core charism of ours, to be a healing presence at the heart of a wounded world. And that kind of phrase never goes out of fashion. The way we do it here is more emphasis on the academic, but the academic isn't just for the sake of academics. It is there to improve the applied situation. And not only that, to get to understand diversity, diversities of faith, diversity of culture, diversity of religion, so that we can all realize we are all children of one divine energy. We are all filled with one spirit. We just act differently and many different. We live out our charisms differently. So that has been my path consistently here. And let me tell you, it hasn't always been easy, but it hasn't been hard. It's not hard, it's just unsensitive, But what happened as time went on, and I've had beautiful supports from so many men here, so many faculty and persons on boards and presidents, and I couldn't, and our current president
is a gift of the Spirit. At this time, this institution needed Joel. This person at this institution wouldn't be still at this institution if it weren't for Joel. Thank you. The point that I want to make is, at the core, we're all about one thing. We're all trying to be a healing presence at the heart of a wounded world. And what we are trying to do is help each one of us in whatever tradition we're in, whatever faith we follow, whatever good we do, to be the best that we can do, be the best, and do the best we can within our own contexts. So in order to do that, we have got to look at life differently, and we have to go take our thou shalts and shalt nots and put them aside and begin to see all of us as children of the divine Creator. And so we need, and that was the work that I've done primarily, like with the Women's Leadership Institute, and before that, and this is what we're going to resurrect the memory of, and also more of it, more than that, the 10 years we had of Women, Word, and the Church. 10 years. And we went through a whole lot of, because I couldn't remember, it was so long ago, when exactly it was. We have this wonderful tapestry that was gifted to us, the Guided by the Goddess, and it is now at the Athenaeum, and it's going to be, when you see it, go visit, okay? Go visit. Say, I'm related to Hartford Seminary, and Judy Chicago, who gave us that gift in 1986. It was her first one. And so we had 10 years of Women Word in the Church, and then we've had 25 years of the Women's Leadership Institute. And it wasn't just all about the women. It was the women are there. Women have boy babies as well as girl babies. Hello? You want the best for your sons as well as your daughters. And you want the best things for the one you love, the man in your life, the men in your life. It's so all the way through what I've done, it has been an effort to include women and men and whatever. And the reason why I did one of the hardest thing I have ever done here, and it cost me dearly, was to put my name on that chair, because I was advised by people whom I respect, who know those kinds of things, which I don't, that if you have that, they can never take that area away. And through the years, they were dangling, we don't really need spirituality, well, maybe we won't have it, well, maybe, priest type will just, so it was always dangling. And so I thought one way to do this would be to do that. And because the programs we had were so successful, and not just supported by the women, so many of you men here, you, right? We're soul friends, so many soul friends, musicians. There's another one, yes. And the works we did here for gays and lesbians well before the time you could even say such a thing. Remember? All this kind of stuff. So that meant then, if I did that, that chair would remain, okay? So I think I'm supporting Joel and his request that if we can make sure we finish off that chair, think of ways we can, I'm willing to do things. I'm willing to, call me out and speak if you need to or whatever, to raise money to finish that chair so it will never disappear, and we will have, everything will change with the changing times. Praise be to God, that's the way it needs to be. But it will be there equally along with the Muslim chairs and the Jewish chairs and whatever other chair we'll have, okay? So that's my request of you. So I want to just thank you so very much for just being who you are, all of you, for me, because you are my family and my medical mission sister's family as well. And you know what? God gave me this personality that is a Gemini, could drive you out of your mind. And probably more often than not does. But you know what? I'm right on the line. I can go this side or that side. sacred dance. So I'm going to be both medical mission sister, fully, who I am, as I've been here, and fully here at Hartford International University, at the largesse of the president and the board, the chair of the board and the board members have said, stay here. You know, there's a house for you on the corner. Stay there. So look out, because what I am absolutely determined to do is lead the way so we finish that chair so we can go out and do what really other things that need to be done related to the chair, which means supporting the wonderful work of this amazing woman who already I feel is a deep soul friend, sister, and a prophetic presence in my own life, okay? And then the president says to me, because I said, things are kind of crazy, I'm not quite sure which way I'm going. He says to me these wonderful words, take a gap year. And of course I said, gap, gather and preserve. I am going to go down and get all the archives out so people know exactly what we've been doing for the last how many years now. All these wonderful things nobody knows because it's all in boxes. Okay, so look out, I've got people who are students, graduates who are offering time and services to help me get these things out so we can say, this is the path, because this place has pioneered more things than you realize. We just don't remember, okay? So right now, the next thing on the road, that's the environment is big, and other things that we hear, but God love you all because I do. Thank you for making a home here for me. And two places, it's just, the road connects us both. And I'm going to be living in both places, and I live here, but I'm going to be going down, if not every month, every 5-6 weeks, and being there with my dearly beloved sisters as well, and starting some good trouble down there.
Taking up this amazing chair. She has a CV that is extremely well qualified for the position. She has taught all over America. She most recently came from California Lutheran University. I'd like to make her part of our family by giving her a warm welcome, but before we do that, I want to also acknowledge that she has brought Victoria here with her. For the who of you were here for the 4 p.m. event? And I heard it was amazing. So this is just like a taste of some of the things that Lisa is doing, and there is much, much more to come. I'm so honored that she's here tonight, but not only here tonight, but she has moved. Do you know how many miles? I actually moved from California too, so I actually know. It is a long way to live here with all of her belongings. She lives here in West Hartford. She really is making, I think, not only this place, but probably West Hartford a little more wild as well.
Yes.
She really is. She really is. I think there are solar panels being installed, and are you mandating that all your neighbors as well? I think you're working on that. She is helping transform this place, and I really mean this. I really feel that with a person with as much energy and enthusiasm and intelligence and scholarly acumen as we have in Lisa, we are going to see similar things continue and grow and go beyond. As you put it, you can't predict what the Spirit is going to do, and I feel that way about your presence. So can you please all join me in welcoming Lisa Dahill, holder of the Miriam Therese Winter Chair in Transformative Leadership and Spirituality.
with such impact that people thought we need to keep this up. Right? So thanks to all of you who have taken this spirit and made it something that the board and the university wanted to be kept going. And thank you, MT, for it all. Beginning with her songs, I first started singing as a very young child in my own congregation and my home, my mother having bought albums of hers, Joys Like the Rain, Knock Knock, Seasons. I grew up singing her songs when I was a parish pastor in Iowa, where I used the women word materials. And she continues to lead and to stretch. And this position, when I saw it posted, read like my heart's desire. This position was written for me, and I thought, I'm too wild. I wrote my application letter out of the wildest place I could, out of the most truthful place I could, and that proved to be what they wanted. They said yes. And so here's how I hear this call, which is not quite the same as MT's, but it's building out of this, and it's inspired by it. It's stepping into this impossible legacy. How can anyone be the MT Winter chair? It's impossible. So here's one version. It was a wild joy to slide with my canoe into the Connecticut River in a late afternoon in early June 2017, just downriver from Colebrook, New Hampshire. With a guide and another participant, I was setting out on the second stage of a 40-day River of Life pilgrimage, traversing the entire length of the river, an event sponsored by the Episcopal and Lutheran Church bodies of New England. I was there for a 5-day stage on the river, from the far northern part, from Coleridge to Lancaster, not far from the headwaters of the whole river in the Connecticut Lakes region of Maine. And then, of course, by day, 39 or so, they would have been here coming through Hartford, finishing in the Long Island Sound. Different people at different stages, with only the guides traveling through. Anyone hear about this when it happened? Yeah. So I was way up there on stage 2, from Colebrook to Lancaster. And the river way up there is narrow, fast-moving, regular low rapids, too wild and shallow for motorized boats. These stretches are for waders and kayaks and canoes. The land on either side is forested and rocky with tremendous beauty and abundance of wildlife. My notes recorded sightings of a young bull moose, a pair of mink, a fox, diverse duck species, herons, adorable sets of goslings with their parents, a water-skating silver and gold insect, and fish of a range of sizes, along with thriving maples, birch, alders, conifers, and occasional catalpas along the river's banks and surrounding hills. We saw evidence of the human past as well in Native American holy places like Brunswick Springs, and various markers of early European settlement. Each morning and evening was marked with prayer. It was a thrilling, exhilarating, gorgeous ride. But it was not all just sweetness and beauty, however. Part of what made the adventure so powerful was its edge. Those are dangerous waters in spring. High waters, high flow and rapids, forests with real predators in which we were camping, rainy, cold conditions that opened us to hypothermia. At Brunswick Springs, the second day of canoeing, I was so cold in the 45-degree rain, my feet soaked from the morning on the river, that my whole body was shaking as I jumped up and down trying to get warm. But the most memorable point of danger had come as we approached Lyman Falls, a low-head dam, on the first day of kayaking, or canoeing. Experienced boaters know about the dangers of low-head dams. The unwary who go over the top can end up getting caught in the churn below and pulled under with the hydraulics, creating a powerful suction that can suck you under and you can't be pulled out even. Between 2018 and 2020, 111 people died in low-head dam churn in the US. So we knew about this, and we were watching for the dam as we were approaching, and we knew that we would be, it was safe to cross at River Left on the New Hampshire side, where the dam had sort of collapsed, and it was just kind of a low rapids. And so we were going to be preparing to get way over and get through that safe part. But a tall tree had fallen from the New Hampshire side of the river, And as we came around the tall tree away over on the Vermont side of the river, this is the river that goes down between New Hampshire and Vermont, you all know that, right? We came around the tree and suddenly there was the dam. And we were right there, coming up in this fast river, approaching the Logan Dam. Behind me in our canoe, the guide yelled, "Back paddle," and he and I back paddled for our lives, as with all of our strength, not even sure this would make any difference as the river was continuing to pull us ahead. We strained with all our strength against the force of the water. I have a visual memory of peering with horror over the front of the canoe. I was in the front, of course, over the edge of the dam as we approached, and seeing our graves in that churn below. The river pouring deafeningly over the lip of the dam on either side of the canoe, pulling us with it as we strained against the water. And we managed at the very last possible moment to stop our forward movement and slide a couple of yards over to the east, where we kind of crashed over the dam in a slightly less dangerous section, not way over where we had intended to go, and sort of bounced through the rapids and ended up in relatively calm water, slid over to the edge and got out onto our campsite for the night. My legs shaking so much I could hardly get out of the canoe. That night I didn't take my breathing for granted. So the language of launching, like we're doing tonight, often implies rockets, right? Blast-offs, escape velocity, leaving Earth behind and vaulting up into the heavens. But tonight as we launch the empty winter chair in transformative leadership and spirituality, I celebrate the downward launch of those canoes into the Connecticut River 4 years ago. A launch out into the wildness and miracle of the world itself. A launch into a risky, communal, collaborative adventure where we need one another for our very survival. Where we experience our animal vulnerability together. Where we pray and paddle and cook and tell stories with creatures of all kinds with whom we share this river and this riparian life. In our ecologically endangered world, we're learning to attend again at last to the spiritual and theological significance of gifts we had once taken for granted. The very functioning of Earth's incomprehensibly complex interwoven systems of water, air, soil, fire, membranes, flesh, photosynthesis, predation, the miracle of life itself into which divine life is enfolded. We're realizing that we live utterly immersed in Earth's biology and hydrology, a thickness of interspecies relationships and complexity we can barely fathom, and divine life in, with, under, and as the water and all the life it makes possible. And we're realizing how fragile and vulnerable this divine life is, those interspecies relationships, the extinctions cascading around us, the climate itself in chaos and weirding that we and our descendants and countless other forms of life on Earth are being swept toward as fast as the guide and I in our canoe that day, and that we may not collectively survive. We can risk falling into despair as the grief of all this overwhelms us, or we can come together, share our hearts, and begin crossing the rift that has kept us alienated from the living world for far too long. We can plunge in. We can fall in love. We can reclaim the deep kinship and relationship and love of the world that has marked human life since its origins until very recently. And so we need visionaries in transformative leadership and spirituality. We need leaders of all kinds with the courage and creativity and wherewithal to invite us back into this whole living world, loving the world, into this divine life that is the life of the world, the literal life of the world. And we need to cultivate and become leaders like philosopher David Abram, who calls for, quote, a way of thinking that strives for rigor without sacrificing our animal kinship with the world around us, an attempt to think in accordance with the senses, to ponder and reflect without severing our sensorial bond with the owls and the wind. So too, we need ways of praying that open into our animal kinship with the world around us, to pray in accordance with the senses, to ponder and reflect inside our sensorial bond with the owls and the wind. What would happen if all our religious traditions extended out wide to claim the whole living world as our congregation, as our community? Before that Connecticut River immersion, I've been heading out already in lots of ways on many boat and bike and backpack adventures into interspecies intellectual and spiritual terrain, fumbling and making it up as I went along, and finding others like Victoria, who were thinking and leading and creating in new ways. We formed networks, mycelial connections of our own. These wild humans experimenting with wild Christianity, wild interfaith work, earth-centering in all traditions, needing to reconnect at last with the largest communion of being. After the Connecticut River immersion, I went even deeper into 2 soul-based wilderness immersions, one in Northern California and one in Colorado, that took me further out into my own fearlessness and love of the world, intimate interbeing with it all. My soul's call to inhabit this wild Christianity and lead those of any and all faith or no faith into their tradition's wild edges for such a time as this. And just a few weeks after that Colorado wilderness immersion, where I heard this call so clearly, you at HIU called me here. MT and her chair called me here. The Park River called me here. One last piece. In the first community prayer service of this year, we were outdoors at the Labyrinth, out behind the 76 Sherman building, where MT built her Women's Leadership Institute over the last transformative quarter century. Did you catch that? A quarter century of the Women's Leadership Institute, of lives transformed, of hundreds of women changing the world, and from the inside out. That labyrinth behind. And I spoke there at that service of how this labyrinth sits at the liminal edge, or you could say the liminal center of our campus. HIU includes 6 acres or so of campus over here, the sort of campus we normally inhabit, lawns and buildings and all of that, beloved trees. Sherman Street bisecting the 2 halves of the 6-acre campus. But our campus is bigger than we normally imagine. It also includes the 7 or so acres east of those buildings and east of the labyrinth into the woods, the thick riparian woods, the ravine, the trail, the river itself. Seasonal creeks, wetlands. It's all HIU. All of that. This part of our campus is home to countless creatures and a migratory path for many more. All of them members of our community and part of our teaching faculty. From beech and oak and maple and poison ivy to trout lilies, trillium, raccoons, bears, and bobcats. This area is more than half our total campus. We can learn right here what it might mean and will mean to get to know again the places where we live, to think theologically and pray and relate and learn with them as our teachers. We can learn to inhabit and learn in and with our whole campus, its academic spaces and its ravine depths, all of it centered in that labyrinth at its heart. Walking together, listening and discerning as if in the dark. We don't know what's coming, do we? It's all unraveling. Walking this labyrinth together, listening and discerning to it all. What might leadership and spirituality look like in new forms today? What's being called forth? What kinds of curriculum might these riparian woods and their creatures, and future humans facing food scarcity and economic collapses of various kinds, what kinds of curriculum might all of this need us to imagine now? To be ready, to step up, What kinds of prayer practices of all kinds do they beckon and invite? What kinds of human maturity, soul deepening, and leadership do future generations need from us now? I'm new here and getting to know the neighborhood too. Yesterday, Victoria and I launched back out, this time in kayaks, into the Farmington River in Windsor. We paddled downriver in the mid-afternoon, a glorious day in this spectacular autumn. Isn't it great to live here? We don't get to live here. And soon enough, we were in the Connecticut River. That same river, far south of the New Hampshire-Vermont border. We had canoed 4 years earlier. Victoria did the stage after me. We overlapped in the campground as I got out and she got in. So we were canoeing together, as it were, all those years ago, north, now here, yesterday, in the Connecticut River. This broad, expansive river here, this picture is actually on the Farmington River, but we went all the way out into the Connecticut, puddled around out there in the river, came back up the Farmington River as the sun was dipping and turning the trees an even more impossibly beautiful golden color as we came back up. I could never have imagined 4 years ago that June as we launched into the river in the midst of astonishing New England beauty and abundance of life, that I too would soon be invited into this watershed to live here myself, joining MT and HIU, and all of you and all these creatures and rivers and trees, to inhabit the full 13 acres of the HIU community in all its fullness, and to envision with you how we might listen and grow and lead and learn and love in truly transformative ways to inhabit our earth anew. It's no wonder MT's most iconic song locates joy in the rain, in the water, in the river, in the storm, in place, and its wholly flowing and overflowing life. Joy is like the rainbow flashing in the spray of play on a wet day, like the rainbow marking every place on earth holy, like the rainbow bringing new forms of life to those fleeing the floodwaters.
This is the point where we're going to do some songs. Is this what you want me to do? This is part of a series of songs that I had written, but a dear friend, producer in Albuquerque, wanted to take my songs and have them sung by other people of note. And so this is on one of the albums. I always forget, is it A New Day Dawns? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, it's sung by a Muslim woman, and it's called Heaven and Earth. And she vamps at the end. She sings, she was in New York. She's from Africa, one of the countries in Africa, and at the moment, it slips my mind, it'll come in a moment. But she was a radical feminist, and is quite well known among singers, you know, who are in that kind of repertoire. Okay, but anyway, she agreed to come to. She was in New York, and she agreed to record this, and it's on my album. And so there was a prayer service that I agreed to do on a Wednesday, and it was a time when this seemed like an appropriate thing. So here it is with photos.
Heaven and earth
dialect from a part of in Africa. So they asked me also to choose another song. We're going to close with Joy's Like a Rain, no surprise, and we'll all sing, okay? And they asked, and I thought Mystery would really be a good choice because it's a song that means a lot to me. And it began a whole series of my returning to music after I established Women Word in the church and got that going. And I just, because the summer everybody goes somewhere and I was here and I could get into the chapel, and so I spent all summer just singing in that gorgeous acoustic and came out with a whole album of songs, and this Mystery was one of them. And honestly, I'd come out 5 in the morning or 4:35 in the morning when it was dark, and then watch the sun come up. And this song came almost verbatim, just, I wasn't right, and the acoustic in that chapel, so it was a blessing. I have really blessed memories of the sacredness of the space we have here. And every time we have events with the incredible persons who come and speak or pray or do something here, you feel like you're in a sanctuary. You're able to, we created, this is a sanctuary right now. It's not a cafe, it's a sanctuary. And it's the spirit of the people who inhabit the space and those who have put energy and time into creating the sacredness of that space. My deep thanks to those behind the scenes who are preparing the food and the photos and all of this and to me, it just feels like a family gathering. We're celebrating something while we still have an opportunity, all of us, to be in one another's presence and to remember and to reimagine. Okay, so this is one of my favorite songs that, honestly, I sat down and it just, the whole song just came right after. There wasn't like, it just came, and it's not sung by me, it's sung by one of our wonderful, wonderful early singers who is no longer, she's on the other side, part of that mystery stream.
When I stand on a rolling hill and I look out to the sea, I can feel the force of freedom finding fellowship with me. I can hear a call to courage, to be all that I might be. Then I know I have known mystery. It's the song of the universe as the eons fall away. It's the song that the stars sing and all the planets play. It's a song to the power neither you nor I can see. It's a song to the one who is mystery. When I walk through a wooded grove to admire nature's art, I can feel her weave her wisdom on the webbing of my heart. I can hear her invitation to be part of all I see. Then I know I have known mystery. It's the song of the universe as the eons fall away. It's the song that the stars sing and all the planets play. It's a song to the power neither you nor I can see. It's a song to the one who is mystery. As I run through the sunlight and the shadows of the years, I can feel a strong sensation through the silence of the spheres. I can hear a call to loving all, to immortality. Then I know I have known mystery. It's the song of the universe as the eons fall away. It's the song that the stars sing and all the planets play. It's a song to the power neither you nor I can see. It's a song to the one who is mystery.
And now last, but most likely first. I always like to kind of throw out the backstory of things. This one has a good one. It's so ironic. I entered the Medical Nursing Sisters to be a doctor. I mean a real doctor, not a doctor that I am. But I mean a medical doctor. And I looked into Miriam, but the danger was if I entered there, I might end up teaching. And the last thing I wanted to ever do was teach. So I joined the Medical Nursing Sisters. Long story short, went through postulates and initiative and all of that. And all of this rumors were going on and hubbubs and all this kind of stuff. Vatican II was coming along, they were going to change the language, someone better study, somebody in our community, because we were always dedicated to music everywhere around the world, the indigenous people's music and all. and indigenous in this country where we were here. And so I was asked to study music, which is how I got into that. Got my degree in music from Catholic University and Gregorian chant and all of those things. And the minute I got my degree, 2 months later, the Vatican Council declared no more language. And so I was teaching the novices, I was in America, I was trained for nothing. I was trained in Gregorian chant and all that, and here I was, miserable, just miserable. They got someone to take me down to the beach house in New Jersey and try to cheer me up, And I know the story's been told, because it is literally iconic. I was sobbing, I was screaming at Jesus. How could you do this to me? If this was going to happen, why couldn't you tell me this so I could have got out and not made my final vows? I had made my final vows and I was stuck. Stuck with the novices and the postulants and the teaching, and I would never get to the missions. I'd never be a doctor. And they didn't even like what I was singing, and so they tried to fire me even from the bishop, which is the most humiliating thing that ever happened to anybody, anywhere. And so I picked up the guitar, it was pouring down rain, and so that is the backstory of that song. This song went everywhere, and I mean everywhere. And I followed after it with as much humility in my soul as I could scrounge up, and deep awe at how it's only 4, 12 lines. But it is one of those iconic things for you to say. You were playing that song for your mom on her deathbed, it just is one of those things, so it just seems appropriate that we would close this moment of our sense of community and commonness this evening, ending on that note, but also beginning the next phase on the same note, because in the end is our beginning, and it's the beginning of the end, you know what I mean? We're all doing so. So join me in singing this, okay? You all know it, and I think the words are up there if you don't. Okay, so let's just sing the old iconic Joys Like the Rain with this old geezer who's going to walk down those stairs, and with the deepest gratitude in my heart for your loving presence in my life, and for supporting me and encouraging me and egging me on, and pushing me up beyond the limits of my own self. Thank you. I look forward to all kinds of exciting things we will be doing together in the days ahead. God bless.
I saw raindrops on my window. Joy is like the rain. Laughter runs across my pane, slips away and comes again. Joy is like the rain. I saw clouds upon a mountain. Joy is like a cloud. Sometimes silver, sometimes gray, always sun not far away. Joy is like a cloud. I saw Christ in wind and thunder. Joy is tried by storm. Christ does asleep within my boat, whipped by wind yet still afloat. Joy is dried my storm. I saw raindrops on the river. Joy is like the rain. Bit by bit the river grows, till all at once it overflows. Joy is like the rain.
So that concludes our program tonight. Thank you so much for coming.